Well, hello there. My name is Dave Bila. I want to welcome you to this new edition of News and Views, broadcast by Access LaPorte County on Public Access TV Channel 99. We are a weekly public opinion program addressing local, state, and national topics and issues of interest to the Michigan City and surrounding areas. Opinions are the views of the responsibilities of the individuals who make the comment and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of this program or its co-producers. We will adhere to broadcast rules, but absolutely no one's First Amendment rights of freedom of speech or freedom of the press will be either muzzled nor denied. Any unauthorized use of the accounts, descriptions, and events of this program without the express written consent of Larry Curley or Schmo is strictly prohibited. We hope you enjoyed the program, the discussion, and the participants. Ladies and gentlemen, just had a first in a long time. I read my opening remarks with not even looking once at my script. It all came from memory. And you know, some people
got an operative front lobe. How about that?
Yeah. And you know, sometimes individuals in this community have extremely short memories when it comes to Indiana state law and their mandated obligation to comply with state law. I want to give you an example. In August, I believe August the 18th, a member of Michigan City Area's School Corporation approached the Michigan City Redevelopment Corporation for a grant, a 4-year grant that will afford the Michigan City area schools an opportunity to get technology into the schools. Well, this particular grant also included metal detectors. Now, this is August. Now, what are we, in October right now?
Right, about 3/4 of the way.
Happy
Halloween.
Okay. All right, the request was made by Mr. Kevin McGuire, Technology Director, that included metal detectors for Michigan City High School. Now, I like to read. And I sometimes read so much that I bring junk in my computer and I get yelled at by my wife because I'm reading stuff that sends me fictitious emails and they're fishing whatever they're fishing for, whether it's bluegill or pike or maybe my stupidity, I don't know what. But there was a situation that I read that physical guns were found in the Michigan City area schools. That was one of the issues, and somebody had to come through some doors that maybe if there was a metal detector there, the guns might have been possibly
Yeah, would have showed up.
But somehow the guns got into Michigan City area schools. Then I read another article, roughly 1,500. Beginning of this year, 1,500 students from the Michigan City High School went elsewhere. They either went to Marquette, or I think 500 or 600 went to Marquette. They just disseminated. They might have left because there were no jobs around. Who knows? The Michigan City area schools is losing student population. Why is the Michigan City area schools losing student population? Another article that I read about a satanic club within the parameters of Michigan City High School.
Freedom of religion.
Well, okay, fine. Well, I'm just saying, no metal detectors, losing enrollment. Different clubs and organizations being created. What's going on? Now, that's all I'm saying is the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission could be a cooperative individual in conjunction with the request made by the Michigan City area schools to the redevelopment could throw the schools a bone so that they could have enough money, enough resources to put in metal detectors to possibly avoid some of these roadblocks that are being put in the way that are creating a uncomfortable environment for the kids who go to school to learn. We need a cooperative effort on behalf of everybody, but it appears to me as if we've got the deaf, the dumb, and the blind running an organization that, first of all, don't comply with state law. The Redevelopment Commission was established in 1986, and I have in my possession that the Indiana mandates the Redevelopment Commission to produce a budget on a yearly basis and convey it to Gateway. Well, I spoke up in 2022, and I said they're not complying with their obligation mandated by law. 2022. Now we have 2026, and the Redevelopment Commission, through their ultimate wisdom, is now adopting a budget. And you know what the budget says? The budget is for $1 million a month for the next 12 months. And it was a verbal commitment that was approved by the Redevelopment Commission. Ladies and gentlemen, taxpayers' dollars need to be looked at. I reside in the TIF district. I have property within the TIF district. Not all of my tax money goes to that 2% of the Redevelopment Commission's authority, but I'm still a resident of the TIF district. And the TIF district, the residents of the TIF district should be aware of the mumbo jumbo that's going on with redevelopment. I gave to Bob a financial report from Baker Tilly that provided.
Now under my 50 pages of stacks.
Your stack's as big as my stack.
But he's going to have an opportunity at his leisure to go through this.
Unpaid, but go ahead.
Unpaid. Oh yeah, the redevelopment also appropriated a new attorney for their organization. A new attorney that has nothing to do with redevelopment, but he knows something. He's a legal advisor. You know how much he gets paid? $250 an hour. They approved him, carte blanche. The fact of the matter, going back to the schools, there should be a cooperative effort on behalf of all entities within the city of Michigan City to, hey, if there's a problem, let's see if we can resolve it. Or let's say if we can contribute something to make things better. Indiana law mandates it. The Michigan City Redevelopment Commission is looking the other way. Gentlemen, I quit.
Well, the discussion of the school requesting the money that they are allowed by the state brought into the discussion that Baker and Tilly is doing a review of their money to see if they can give them the money, which for future shows, and anyone who wants to be at home, if you want to dig as deep as Dave had, you will find some things that maybe they shouldn't have prompted Baker Tilly to look into because things have popped up.
That is correct.
So then the school asking for money created the discussion with Baker Tilly, and now Baker Tilly's involved.
That is correct.
Some things have come up that maybe they didn't want to come up.
You read my mind.
When you open Pandora's box, you can't put her back in.
Who made you aware of that?
I don't know, some special person on this show.
Well, I wouldn't call it Pandora's box. I'd just say that they found things that legally had to be handled in a certain way. They will have to put it in the budget, and as a result of that, the money availability may not be the same as we thought it would be.
Now, but by the way,
Could be more.
Could be more.
We don't know.
I hear through the grapevine, and I won't get an answer until later on, maybe next week, but I hear through the grapevine that our audience may be growing. Our listeners, our viewing audience may be enlarging and getting bigger and better. So
Well, let's hope that's numbers and not around their belly.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
we had now supposedly
Oh,
now,
such a good show, they sit around and eat food.
supposedly today, well, of course, it won't be watched until tomorrow morning, but supposedly tomorrow morning, an individual specifically is going to turn on Channel 99 at 10 o'clock in the morning for the first time in 15 years? And I hope that individual enjoys the concept of what's being created from this program that I've been discussing specific issues within the city of Michigan City since 2018 that have went on the deaf, dumb, and blind ears in this community.
I want to go to the budget and
Good.
things that we are now figuring out from SEA, that's Senate Enrolled Act 1, which everyone is trying to figure out. So I found this on the Indianapolis Business Journal. Again, these are websites you have to pay for. It's not very expensive to do a whole year. I think it's $100. It's pretty good. But anyways, the communities and municipalities are finally figuring out what all was in SEA 1. It's a very thick bill. If you want to read it, it's pretty boring, but let's go to the highlights. So everyone doing their budgets this year has to account for the impacts next year and the next few years. Now the highlights here are that one good thing which I thought was fun was Carmel.
Where are you at?
I'm over here in the coming impact.
okay.
So Carmel, I thought Carmel, everyone knows Carmel, north of Indianapolis, is a very well-off community, right?
Right, yeah.
Very well off. They're losing $10 million in 2026. Well, whatever. Michigan City's, I think, losing $1.2 million. LaPorte County's losing. So what has come out of their understanding of SCA 1 is homeowners get a 10% tax credit up to $300. That means that's less money for the municipality. But they said, the state said that you can raise your income tax, the cities and municipalities can raise their income tax 1.2%. They can raise their income tax up to 1.2%. But here's the big caveat, which I've been hearing in the last month, and I finally found some information on it, that you can lower, the municipalities can lower their income tax rate by up to 1.2%, but they cannot exceed 2.9% as a whole for the county. Because we all been discussing, well, if everyone adds 1.2%, that starts adding up.
So,
right?
but this will be additional. In other words, the city could have some, the county could have some, but it cannot go.
It cannot exceed 2.9% for the county in total.
Yeah, okay.
So all the municipalities have now figured this out, and they've done their books, which I think people like Baker and Tilly do, and they realize that it's still a net loss. Since we can increase it to 1.2%, but we cannot get above 2.9% total, the county rate. So there's a ceiling there that the state has put upon everybody because they don't want everyone raising it 1.2 for the county, 1.2 for the city. Pretty soon you're about 4 or 5%. There's a county 2%. And then they lower the business income, equipment tax, and they have a couple other things. And then here's one you might want to see, which I thought was very interesting. Charter schools now have property tax sharing rights.
I read that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a whole bunch in the Senate Enrolled Act 1 that they are just, very smart people are finally going through and figuring out. And the big one is, which I've been hearing the last month, is they didn't realize there's a tax ceiling. So once you hit that, you cannot tax anymore. And that helps us, but it really hurts the municipalities in the county because now they're saying that those reductions in property tax were supposed to be offset by increases in income tax, which I personally would rather pay the income tax and get me off my property tax, because property tax means I will forever owe the king and I will never own my house. I don't think that's fair. But they are capped at 2.9%.
Excuse me, bro. Could you hand me back that paperwork that I gave you pertaining to Baker and Tilly and their I want to point something out to Tony. That's, yeah, those, right there.
And then the other part, where you look at that, the other part is in the opinion piece in the Indianapolis Business Journal is the governor, there's the governor there. So they're going to go back into a short session this spring, and they are discussing the impacts of SCA 1, and everyone is sounding the alarm.
Now, in addition to what Tony talked about, I want to, if I read this properly, and hopefully we get this from Bob, if the TIF district did not exist, if there was no TIF district whatsoever, the difference between our regular taxes and excluding the TIF district and would be 22-cent tax increase on our levy across the board.
22-cent increase in tax rate. 22 cents.
22 cents.
I was going to bring you a quarter and you had to give me the 3 cents back.
Now, if you take into account the millions of dollars
22 cents.
that the Redevelopment Commission is getting from the county, because I've got, over the last 3 years, it's almost $30 million. My question is, how does this 22-cent tax levy on our existing base compare to the $30 million that the Redevelopment Commission has received over the last 3 years? What is the difference?
3 years.
No, well,
I know, but we've been doing this since 1995.
well, I know, but again,
So at 30 years with the money that we have garnered from the casino,
yeah,
not
but-
just the redevelopment.
Yeah, but I can't go back. I'm too dumb. I don't know nothing.
We're talking about the city has gotten $300 million. And if they would have put it in the bank, it would have been 1.5 billion. But anyways, the question is, with $300 million, where's $300 million in Michigan City?
Yeah,
$300
versus no TIF district and a 22%
At
tax
22
increase.
cent.
Uh-uh.
22
Hey,
cent.
I'm so urinated off on this issue. I'm tired of even talking about
It's
it.
right there. Impact of releasing $293 million of captured assessed value to the overlapping tax base and foregoing $8.4 million of TIF revenue. So it's their calculation, which is
This is from their Baker and Tilly.
Baker and Tilly.
To the redevelopment commission.
I was close, $300 million. $293.2 million.
Well, you're
which
pretty
I've-
smart, man.
Which I've said over and over again. Where is $293 million in Michigan City? I grant that. We'll see. When did you start the enterprise thing? 75?
Early 80s. 70,
Early 80s.
It's been in place since 1986.
So 86, which was fine to do something. But at some point, you have to say, after $300 million, have we accomplished what $300 million can accomplish? The answer, I think, right now is no.
I agree. But again, I'm fed up to here on this issue.
Well, we can, I asked Dave a little bit. I've asked other people. What do people know that Michigan City has given us in the past 30 years? We got our sidewalks paved. We have new fire stations.
Fire trucks.
We have
and
new
fire
police
stations.
station, fire trucks, some police vehicles.
Right.
Is that $300 million?
No.
It must be because
Well,
the $300 million's gone.
No, if you listen to the monthly reports from Skylar York, he talks about expenditures, hiring new attorneys at $250 a year. All the redevelopment commission people get money, their budget over their amount of money that they get from the TIF district is $90,000 to operate their procedure. It just don't make sense. I have to squeeze every nickel out of my Social Security check and my government pension to continue to exist, and we've got these deaf, dumb, and blind people running this organization. The facts don't lie. I didn't dream this up. I didn't dream this up. This is Michigan City Redevelopment Commission report pertaining to state law that I talked about, 36-7.
That's the report that the redevelopment commission asked Baker Tilly to do for them.
Yeah.
So they could potentially give the school some money to put at a minimum.
That is correct.
At a minimum, metal detectors.
Is there something wrong with my intellectual prowess? Is there something wrong with what I'm saying?
And again, back to SEA 1, they are going to lose by the state's funding mechanism. Michigan City, I believe, was $1.2 million a year that they are going to be short. I believe the county's about the same thing. I brought it up again, Carmel, which I don't have any. Doesn't make me sad if they're losing $10 million. I think they got plenty of money. But Michigan City is going to, and every municipality is going to be tight for money, not only knowing that they cannot exceed 2.9% in the county.
That's additive between the city, township.
It appears as though.
City, township,
It's total.
county.
County, the long as county rate doesn't exceed 2.9%. Because we have, right now, Michigan City, or the county enacted a public safety lit.
Well, that's a little bit nebulous
Income tax.
in terms of that writing. So basically, one of the things, if that's the way it's written, you're going to wind up going to court to find out, is it additive or is it separate? And that's probably one of the things that they're going to have to decide.
Everyone's digging into this. But the last part, which I brought again, in the opinion piece from the governor, he's not from the governor, so the opinion piece he just showed the governor, that they are looking at the legislature, reviewing this come springtime, because maybe some of these things cut a little deep. And
Well-
in my opinion, I think some of these things bring money down to Indianapolis, and it really drives me crazy when we have to give our money to Indianapolis, and then supposedly out of the kindness of their heart, they give us some of the money back. Now, I understand that's not for property revenue. They just give us the money. They do charge us a financial fee to transact it.
Yeah.
But that's given right back to us. But things like CCMG for paving, out of the grace of their heart, we get people in our county, in our city, pay money at the pump for taxes, and then that goes down to the state, and then the state graciously gives us money back in motor vehicle, highway funds, and then they graciously give us back some of that CCMG money, Community Crossings Mitigation Grant, which is paving money. I think we should just keep it all ourselves right here. If you pay taxes in LaPorte County, or you pay gas tax in Michigan City at the pump, it should stay here in Michigan City. We don't bring it back down to the state, and they graciously give us some money back.
And now we have a formal petition filed on October 21st objecting to the legality of the EID declaration that cites state law that I've been citing for a long time. Additional information that doesn't necessarily pertain to my research, but everything has morphed from Kevin McGuire's request
Yes, it did.
for his metal detectors.
You sparked a
The fact,
bonfire here.
the fact of the matter is, if the Sola company does not obtain their financing by, I believe, the 18th of December because of this roundabout finagling on behalf of the Redevelopment Commission, Sola, in my mind, is dead.
Well, I think, was it Marriott?
Yeah.
I think Marriott will come. Usually what happens is we have a piece of ground. And right now it seems like there's maneuvering going on legally with different LLCs and things that Sola is part of. But I think Marriott, as a company, very good company, is probably going to build this hotel and get the land from the redevelopment. And Sola, I guess, will be out flying in the wind somewhere.
Well, I
That's
don't
my guess.
I don't disagree. But in order for Marriott to
Because Marriott won't ask for this. Marriott will say we're going to build it, and if you give me the ground, we'll build it. We have the money.
Right, but because of this finagling and these millions of dollars that have been spent on the Sola property, Marriott is going to have this petition will be dead and gone, and you have to start from scratch again.
Well, Marriott do that in a heartbeat. They do it everywhere.
But what inevitable outcome is that the Sola property or the property that Sola was supposed to go to is probably going to sit vacant until all of these legal questions are resolved.
Well, you would hope Sola doesn't go to legal avenues because they don't get the funding. I would hope. Marriott wouldn't.
No.
I'd have confidence. They're either in or they're out. I don't think Marriott would even ask for the maneuvers. They would just say, you're giving me the money, I got the money, we're going to build this hotel. And now what happens with the townhomes and condos, whatever, Marriott doesn't, either way, they don't care.
I have a feeling that, and I got my information from somebody who does financial arrangements in Las Vegas, but what he was telling me was, he's just a friend of mine. We don't have any business dealings, but I know the guy personally. And he does involve himself in these kind of things. And he's telling me this is pretty standard for a Marriott or one of these. They do this all the time. The way they've got it arranged is basically the way they sometimes arrange things in a place like Las Vegas. They do the hotel. Now, why do they do the hotel? Because of the 30-day requirement that you sign rents and lease arrangements over a 30-day period unless you are a hotel. So the hotel does not have the 30-day requirement. That makes it easy for them to come in. In addition to that, for the townhouses in the condominiums, Marriott may have a subsidiary that will control these. As a result of that, they're going to have the ability to get to Marriott financing. And I think this will be built second. The hotel will come first. They will see how things go. Then they will come in with condominiums and townhouses. They probably will have some kind of an arrangement where they will own part of the townhouses and condominiums. They will also be able to rent and lease those, and they will sell some of them to private individuals. They might sell it on a basis, and I've seen this one before, of you buy a week in a certain room in the condo.
And what do you call that?
Townhouse, timeshare.
Timeshare.
Yeah. They've got these kind of arrangements.
But Marriott and most companies, if you look at their products, they have good products and they own a hotel, whatever. But they make their money in financials.
Yes.
You mean I'm under the impression
They're a finance arm.
Don't jump.
No.
I was told this by somebody who's
Correct,
familiar
correct.
with their financial arrangements. That doesn't mean that's what they're going to do here.
Yeah, but I'm under the impression that Sola people have sold roughly 1/3 occupancy so far.
If you're lucky.
Well, maybe.
Now, you're talking one-third occupancy in a townhouse.
Whatever, yeah, whatever, in order to, was Michigan City possibly sold a bill of goods again?
No, no.
They took a shot at
They
it and
took
they
a
haven't
shot.
said it.
But I mean, that's, I've been saying that for years. That's the mindset of this community. They get sold a bill of goods, expenditures from the TIF
not
district
a bill
amounts
of
to billions.
goods. This is-
Money has been spent that should have went for other reasons, other than to create a pie in the sky results.
Now, whatever legality happens with these LLCs, with the property that Sola or Marriott's going to sit on, I believe the impetus was to make sure we don't lose it and tie it in somebody's financial legal
That's
world.
correct. Oh, yeah, that's correct.
So
That was the initial intent.
your intent was to protect the city from wrangling up a piece of ground that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars because somebody sold us a bill of goods and they don't have the money. Now they're going to hold us over a barrel because they locked into a piece of ground that we can't get back. So the maneuvers aren't evil or bad, but they just have to be legal.
That is correct. Again, there's some rationale on behalf of redevelopment that I support. Really, some of their mindset, and but
we
I'm
don't
saying,
want to lose one of the best pieces of ground in Michigan City.
but if we don't look out, it possibly could happen.
In business, you take risks, in many cases.
Not with the taxpayer's dollar, not with the taxpayer's
You always
property.
take risks.
Not
What
with
we're trying
taxpayers'
to-
money, no.
That's the same feeling that has gotten Michigan City nowhere over the last 40 years. You have to take some
I've been
risks.
saying that for the last 40 years.
You
It's
have
about
to-
time somebody
You got to
listens.
spend some money.
Congratulations.
You got to
You
take
got to
some
spend a little
risks.
money.
Yes, and you got to put a little investment into it. If it doesn't work at all, somebody else will come in here. Now, we may not get somebody as sharp as Marriott, but we'll get somebody. In fact, before Marriott came in, the rumors were that it was Wyndham that was looking at this. I'd much rather have Marriott than Wyndham. That's my personal opinion, but I think you could get a lot of people to back that up. Somebody will come in, and it will be a better North End than it is right now. And the North End is much better right now than it was 50 years ago.
At the latest redevelopment
Really?
commission, at the
Oh,
latest,
yeah, you should see it.
yeah, the latest
You have no
redevelopment
idea
commission
what that
meeting.
was like.
There was a presentation made by there were 7 applicants for the memorial site property for that particular project. It's a 3-phase project. There were 7 applicants. And the applicant that was chosen from the redevelopment commission was an individual who put on a $11,000 breakfast for the community. And it so happens that they invested $11,000 for a breakfast for community involvement, and miraculously they were chosen 1 out of those 7. Was it $11,000 that bought him an opportunity to come into Michigan City on the Memorial Street site?
Who was it? Antoine Rezko? Maybe you ought to look
There's gotta be a
maybe you ought to look see who Antoine Rezko is in Michigan City.
You're going to have to look these people up.
Hey,
We can't say on the show.
Hey, I
do your research.
I don't dream this stuff up. I read.
And wait, what happened this week? NBA started, and now there's a big scandal that the mafia was fixing games. Anyways,
All right. I'm going to switch to something a lot lighter.
no,
I
wait.
rest-
The North End. I agree. The North End is way better off than it was in the '70s. It was horrible. I didn't want to walk down Franklin Square in the '70s. Oh my gosh, it was so bad. But
But wait a minute, in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, it was one of the high points of
it was
Michigan
the place to be, and we had a direct connection to Lake Michigan because you could walk from the stores and shops to the beach. You had to walk through the rail area, but you could, and they had a big arch, and you could look at the photos. And then Michigan City, in its infinite wisdom, put City Hall in, which City Hall doesn't block Franklin. Then we put the library in, which shut off Franklin. And the library technically doesn't block Franklin. If you go to the library, you walk in, you got the west side and the east side. Franklin used to run right down the middle. There's really nothing there except some book racks and a garden. I know the library's beautiful, but it shut off Franklin.
Yeah.
In their infinite wisdom.
Well, and at that time, there were a lot of residents upset about that.
Yeah, Bob, before you move on, I want to just read something pertaining to Indiana Law, Chapter 22. Chapter 22 of Indiana Code deals with creation of economic improvement districts, EIDs. These special districts created by a municipality, often at the request of property owners, to fund specific improvements and services within a defined area. These improvements can be, listen to this, street sidewalk repairs, landscaping, enhanced security and sanitation, marketing and promotional activities. With what is going on with the redevelopment commission, can any of those 5 items be addressed within this $30 million concept over the last 3 years? Or has any of those items been addressed? If so, I would like to see an audit that you're talking about.
Well, a state board of accounts.
State board would then expose all of these areas that the city of Michigan City has spent millions of dollars on.
Well, we did get Michigan
Well,
Boulevard has planters. landscape.
I would
The bill
say-
hasn't been paid on Michigan Boulevard yet, has it? It's, no? Oh,
I-
You're thinking Lakeshore Drive.
Oh,
If we had brilliant individuals in there, and this doesn't take a lot of brilliance, I would assume that the city controller or whoever was handling financial part of it called the State Board of Accounts first and asked if this met the requirements. Now, that's not unusual. That's how you CYA. You call them ahead of
That's
time.
pretty unusual in my dealings inside the government. That's pretty unusual to call the State Board of Accounts.
Ahead
When
of
you
time?
call the State Board of Accounts, let me tell you, probably won't get an answer. They will take it under advisement and they might look into it, but typically they don't want their opinion there.
Well, I know they don't, but that's where you put them on the spot. You call them ahead of time, you write a letter asking for
They
their
will,
opinion.
what they will do, in my experience, they will send you back the code and let you interpret it. They will send you back the same code they just read.
Well, okay.
That's what they do.
Well,
that's what they do.
No, but at least you've got something that says you
Well, it's
checked.
got the same code,
Time out,
but
time out. It says you checked, and the State Board of Accounts had the opportunity to tell you not to do it.
you're right.
Yes.
You're right there. They
This
did,
is how
they
you
did
handle
have the
those things.
opportunity, but they will say, yes, you called me. And yes, we gave them the state code. And if they violate it, they didn't read the state code already.
Then you call them back and say, this is the state code, how do you read this?
What's that in comedy?
You get- Yes, yeah, but the point is, you're racking up the fact that you've called them, you've let them know what you're doing.
Doesn't matter.
Well, it does if you're going to get blackballed or something. You can show in court if you have to, that you communicated.
And you
with
just
them.
hit the nail on the head because there's a story in South Bend about why they don't have housing. There's a story in Michigan City why we don't have housing. There's a story in Indiana why we don't have housing. And they finally touched on it, and it's called administrative paperwork. And that's what you just talked about, state board, all this stuff, this paperwork this goes on statewide, municipal-wide, in my opinion, if you could throttle back the administrative paperwork in any government entity, national, state, local, you could probably save developers 40%.
But people are still going to do CYA.
I have
On a much lighter note,
Before we get to that wider note, I have here a consumer complaint for the Office of Attorney General. Are you implying that if I put efforts into file this consumer complaint, the resolution will be a pile of paperwork for me to sort through again?
Pretty much.
So this consumer complaint is worthless?
No, they'll give you the paperwork. They'll look into it.
well, it'll depend on what it is. Now, if it's something that's really serious, yeah, they're going to look into
Well,
it.
yeah, if it's embezzlement or something, yeah,
Yeah.
they'll be.
Well, you would think this $30 million over the last 3 years would
Yeah,
be...
but the things you read are a little vague and overreaching, so.
So that's what they're gonna send back to me.
You really can't exactly say, like, it said landscaping, what was the other thing it said? It said,
yeah. And then an audit would determine that.
it said
Yeah.
enhanced security or sanitation, marketing, promotional activities.
So that's what I get back
They're
from
so
the
general and comprehensive, they're not gonna put anybody
So
in jail.
what's the end result?
The end result is we roll along
$293
just
million keeps going.
Dave, I know.
I rest my case.
Time out. I know you've been working on this for the last 30 years. I told you 3 years ago, stop worrying, because the money that's coming into Michigan City will take care of these problems, and it will. They're just going to roll right through.
If you look at the Baker Tilly report,
You watch.
Michigan
Now-
City will be obligated for the next 40 years to pay off these bond issues that the redevelopment commission is
Well, yeah,
creating.
The Redevelopment Commission has to have bonds or they have to shut down by state law. So if they keep creating bonds, they're never required to shut down.
And right now, they're 2 months behind on their financial appropriations to pay their bills. That appeared in the last redevelopment commission
Well,
meeting.
they'll get their draw,
Lighter note.
they'll get their draw in November, so they'll have the money.
They'll pay the money.
Okay, much lighter note. For those of you that enjoy football, for those of you that enjoy sports, last week was a historic situation in this area. Why? If you look at the professional football teams, both the Chicago Bears and the Indianapolis Colts won. If you look at the colleges that an awful lot of us went to, Notre Dame, Purdue, and a number of others, with the exception of Purdue in football, everybody won. But not only that, Purdue may have come out better than anyone else because they were ranked #1 in the country in basketball. The culture between Indiana and Purdue has totally changed
Yeah,
for
it has.
25 years. Indiana was the basketball school and Purdue was the football school. Now, all of a sudden, Indiana's the football school and Purdue is the basketball school.
And what's the common denominator in all these things?
7-foot player that went to Purdue. That's the common
The common denominator is the coach.
Yes.
Well, it's the leader of the team. I don't care if it's public, private, city, government, county. It's the leader, it's the coach. And I've said this many times before, especially in pro sports. If you have a coach and you put them in place and they don't produce, I wouldn't give them but 2 years. And we're seeing that right now, and the sports community is throwing a fit because coaches are getting fired halfway through the season. And finally, they're waking up. The players are all really good. There's some really star players, but in general, they're really good pro players. It's the coach that makes the winning team.
Yes. And in college, that's even more true than it is in the pros, because it's the coaches in college that teach these kids how to perform on the field, and going back to Bobby Knight, the kinds of ethics that they have to have in terms of not accepting bribes, in terms of going to class. And Bobby Knight made sure with every recruit he had that they went to class. He actually had the instructors in all their classes write a letter to him if one of his players didn't show up.
Did the players show up when you were in school?
Yeah.
I saw college players in my years at Purdue maybe 3 times in my class.
Well,
I knew they were into class. They might have showed up 3 times.
Well, I was going to say
And that was the 80s.
that probably was more true in my day and age, because they had a special area. It was called HYPER. Health, Physical Education, and
we had
Recreation.
HYPER.
And all of our major players in the major sports majored in physical education. So as a result of that, they were out there doing calisthenics. They were out there running on the track, and that was part of.
And the HYPER was open for students at IU.
Yes, yeah.
It was like an unbelievably, if you've ever been down to Purdue, Purdue's got one too, and IU's got it, or any college got it, the students get to use an unbelievable athletic complex. It's free. It's amazing. If you ever take a tour, the HYPER is pretty amazing. Purdue has got a pretty amazing area that the students can do physical fitness, and yes, the players were always there.
So as a result of that, yes, those players were in class. Now, class
I was talking
a little
English,
bit different than some of the others.
math, Spanish, that they should have showed up for.
Well, if their native tongue was Spanish, they probably took Spanish. If their native tongue was German, they probably took German. But other than that,
I mean, the core courses that everyone has to do their freshman
Yeah.
and sophomore year, I saw 3 times. I can remember the 3 times they showed up in class because everyone knew who they were. and you didn't really see them. I don't know how many times I ever saw them on campus walking around. Pretty rarely, the football, the basketball players.
Yeah.
They didn't walk around campus. But anyways, it's all in the coach. I 100%. I don't mind them getting rid of coaches mid-season. I would give the coach 2 years. I've seen it at Purdue. But Coach Tiller, it was a great coach. He came in there, he turned it around in 1 year. Signetti turned that around in 1 year. Now he brought some players with him, but that is because he's coach. And you'll see this in pro sports. The Bears got a good coach, I think, now.
Yeah.
And that
Oh, yeah.
that makes the whole Notre Dame good coach. I think he's fantastic.
He turned that game around last week because he noticed one thing, and he had to throw the flag and appeal it. The referees didn't catch it. The quarterback that threw a pass, he was beyond the line of scrimmage, and his arm was about beyond the line of scrimmage. You can't do that as a quarterback if you're throwing a irregular pass. You have to be behind the line of scrimmage. The refs didn't catch it. He caught it. He challenged him, and Indiana won the ruling.
Now, in the coaches' struggles, which are getting worse and worse and will get infinitely worse, is name, image, and likeness. There are so much money being poured at these athletes, not just in the collegiate level, sometimes at high school level.
And even
I guarantee
junior
you it'll go to junior
High
high,
school, yeah, yes.
and definitely in pro sports. The name, image, likeness money and the gambling money, I think, is going to spoil all the sports as we know them. And the coach has got the hardest job to do because people are pouring money at these athletes. And I mean literally pouring money at them.
When you hear on TV the term NIL, that's name, image, likeness. It's very difficult to separate out a person's name, image, and likeness when it's being used in a promotional situation, i.e. people are getting paid for it. The average student, the average athlete, the average person says, if you're going to use my name, if you're going to use my likeness, I'd like to be paid for that. They have every right in this country to be paid for that. The question then becomes, how do you handle those situations? You can regulate it some. You can force the payment to go into an account that will provide for them in the future.
You know, what do they call that? And politicians have to do this, and stockbrokers have to do this. They have an account, a blind trust.
Yeah,
A blind trust.
you can do that, but that money will be there for them. They obviously know it's there.
Yeah.
So as a result of that, it's a major incentive for them. It's also a major incentive for them to play better, because the bigger name they put, the more T-shirts they sell, the more hand warmers they sell. They make money off
Where they eat
it. It goes into
where
their
they
fund.
eat at Subway or McDonald's or Burger King or any other restaurant. Yeah, I think what's going to happen, and I've been thinking about this for 20 years.
Now, now, Dave, that's where you and I made our mistakes.
Pardon me, you just woke me up. What? I wasn't listening. Go ahead.
We should have made sure that when somebody used our name or our likeness or our image, that we got paid for it. We didn't know that in the area we came out of, in the 40s
No,
and
we
50s,
didn't, no.
we could get paid for that.
Well, it's a question of value. And some of these, they're taking a risk. So whether a student is in junior high, high school, college, pro, you don't know where they're going to go. Is this going to be the next Dennis Rodman or going to be the next nobody? I don't know. So these people are going to get very wise, and the attorneys and the advertising agents are going to get wise and represent these people and say, listen, this might be the next Dennis Rodman. This might be the next name you have never, Michael Jordan. They need to say, okay, we're going to go to this big company, Nike, whoever, Adidas, whoever you're going to go to, PepsiCo, and say, listen, I will sign a contract for name, image, likeness for your rights for my athlete, and I will give you 80%, up to the first $1 million or the first $10 million. Then after that, we start stair-stepping it back, and you're going to, if my person I represent becomes a Michael Jordan and is a trillionaire, you're not getting 80%. We're going to give you 5%. And that's how this is all going to build in the next 20 years. Because you have to, anything's like life, you have to earn your image and likeness. Mm-hmm. But you should get that money as you build it and put your time in.
In response to Bob's comment, back in my era, I was just happy to be a participant in an organized activity. When we were in I never thought of financial rewards of being on the track team or
you were just happy to get picked.
I was just happy to be a participant.
I was too.
Yeah,
Me too.
But then I got to college, and I was a pretty good athlete, but I wasn't a great athlete. But one of the things I had was great legs, because we didn't have a car when I grew up. We didn't have a car until I was 11 years old. I walked wherever or ran wherever I wanted to go. In addition to that, I caddied from the time I was about 10 or 11 up to 16 when I got a regular job. Long Beach Country Club, rode a bike out there every day during the summer.
What'd you have? Endurance.
Yeah. Now, what does that come, how does that come in handy? Now, this is not inter-scholastics or academic situations or sports situations. It's intra.
Yeah.
And in Indiana University, they have a 50-mile bike race called the Little 500. And every fraternity wants to win that Little 500. They put an awful lot of effort into it. I happen to be a good bike rider. That was where my athletics came in. And as a result of that, now in this day and age, they go the whole year. Back in that day and age, they started with the spring semester. I got board free because I ate at the training table. I had to pay for my room, but I didn't have to pay for my board. In addition to that, I got my social fee the whole year. I didn't have to pay that.
You got headhunted.
Yeah.
Because you had a skill.
I could do something.
Now, when you rode the bike, and people have watched the movie and watched the
movie about it's called Breaking Away.
And you watched the race. I think it might be televised in some local channel. If you would have had the ability, because the race started because they needed an event, right?
Right.
And they got AMF, the company, to donate those single speed bikes. And they were marked AMF on the bike.
Oh yeah, yes.
So if you in name, image, likeness in the day, if you would have put a sticker on there about some company, eat at McDonald's, maybe you would have got some money.
Yeah.
But it's hard to think, like they just said, it's hard to think.
But
maybe I should have done something to make some money for somebody while I'm getting the notoriety, because I would get some money. We were just happy to be on the team.
But anyway, these things have been going on for a long time. People can get paid for their abilities, and they should be able to get paid for their abilities.
They get their share of their ability.
Right.
Speaking of ability, Tony brought in a real interesting subject.
I was hoping...
Or ability or lack of ability.
Bob would get this because, and he's going to have to read this. This, again, came from the Indiana Business
I
Journal.
love the way they bring these things in 20 minutes before.
Oh, yeah.
And then say, Bob's going to have to do
Well,
this.
I read this afternoon, and I thought, I got to bring this in. How many candidates are for the IURC?
Initially, there were 47, according to this. Initially, there were 47, and they cut the 47 down to 22. And again,
what the hell is it?
This is the names of the 22 candidates that will be picked to the IURC, which is very, very
Well, tell them what the
important.
IURC
Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, which defines the rates that we pay. Now, I brought this in because they had the 22 candidates.
No, did you get one of these?
Yeah, I gave them a copy.
Yeah, I got a copy.
But and they talked to some of the candidates, and it blew me away when one of the candidates, I'm looking for it, said, one of the candidates said that this is a candidate for the IURC, if I can find it here. He said something about, let me see if I can find it. The IURC, Bob's gonna love this. The IURC, in quotes, it is an advocate of neither the public nor the utilities. Who did that show? Who did that radio show? Rush Limbaugh?
Rush Limbaugh. Stack of stuff. Yeah.
The IURC says it is an advocate of neither the public nor the utilities.
Well, that's what it says.
What?
What they're saying is that they don't have anything to do with either side.
They're not advocating for either side. Well, then what?
Why?
Why? Oh my God.
But they are required to make sure
I
that
hope that's a typo.
utility is capable.
And you look at these little biographies of these individuals.
You look at the people.
Look at the people. Intellectually, you don't see any grade school dropouts on this list of individuals. Okay, they've all had
Be
some.
careful there. My grandfather dropped out in the 40s.
Well, I agree.
Well, Einstein, didn't he quit?
I agree.
Bill Gates quit.
But
billionaire.
there are
Elon Musk, right? He quit.
There are 12 Republicans and 9 or 10 Democrats of these 22 that they're going to approve 3 of them. Am I correct? Did I read
Yes.
that? They're going to approve 3 of them of these 22 people.
And most of these are from
Indianapolis?
Indianapolis.
Right. So when we, which I have done in the past, made an effort to approach the Indiana Regulatory Commission when they had a local meeting in Gary.
Now we have somebody here, Christina Hale. She's a former state rep, Democrat nominee from Michigan City, right here. A nominee to the IURC. Maybe,
Does she still live in Michigan?
no, she lives in Indianapolis. Maybe you can give the state some
yeah,
call.
you're
Maybe
right.
we'll get Christina Hale on there. Maybe she'll look out for
We
us.
got another one from Indianapolis. Now she lives in Indianapolis.
She's from here, so we got to give her something. She's a good person. I mean, I think she'd do a good job. Here's a Robert Lugar. I guess, is that the son of Richard Lugar?
Well, or related.
And he's from IDEM?
Oh, no, there wouldn't be any nepotism in government. Are you implying that nepotism exists in our everyday life? No.
I don't understand, this says Democrat and Republicans. Does that mean there has to be, usually boards cannot have all one party. So you have, if there's 5 members, it has to be 3 Republicans to 2 Democrats, because we can't have.
And I would say based on the state of Indiana, it'd be more pro-Republican than
You get
Democrat.
3, if there's 5, you get 3 Republicans,
Yeah,
2
yeah.
Democrats.
But while you're talking about this, you also have to understand that the Regulatory Commission has requirements in terms of allowing utilities to collect certain values as a result of investments, as a result of the costs that they incur. For a natural gas utility, it's going to be what is the cost of buying that gas? What is the cost of having it transported to the place where you will use it? How do you store it? They are going to be given the right to collect the amount that they spend for storage, the amount they spend for transportation, the amount that they spend to give money back to the drillers that drill out the natural gas, assuming that it's a fair price to them. They're going to look at all this. That's what the Regulatory Commission does.
And there's a good one. I brought up Christina Hale, good person. I think that'd be good for the board.
By the way, I should also add, that's why I'm in favor of nuclear facilities, because once you put them into effect, the electricity is a lot less cost than it is if you
And
are in.
this position gets
wind and solar.
paid $152,000 a year. Maybe Bob wants to do it.
It appears to me, what is the IURC? The IURC basically is a court that has a 5-member board.
Administrative court.
Administrative court that hears cases on a variety of issues, including utility, construction projects, financing, and environmental compliances. It's basically adjudicates
What they can,
Yeah.
what they can make.
what they can make and what they can't. And so if you have a legal background prowess, your argument would carry more weight than a high school dropout.
Really? Because attorneys have different specialties. You can't expect an attorney or a judge to know everything.
By the way, this is way off the subject. When I was talking about the little 500 at IU, I rode with one of the guys who was probably one of the premier writers of all time. His name was Dave Blaze. When they actually showed clips out of Breaking Away on one of the sports programs, Dave moderated it for it. This is a guy who walked around campus with horn-rimmed glasses and was a biology major. He spent the rest of his career teaching biology in Indianapolis. His senior year, my junior year, he rode 122 laps without getting off the bike. That is unbelievable. But he had legs on him like this. People come out that you really don't expect. And sometimes they got to find out what they're really good at. And he found out what he was really good at, and he maintained his biology major.
Yeah, so one of these people on here, which I thought was funny, is president of Indianapolis-based Midwest Energy Partners, LLC. And there's a whole list of people that are the 22 that they're looking for 3. One person on here was an IURC commissioner from 2010 to 2016. And there's some people, most of these are from Indianapolis. It gets paid $152,000 a year. Probably not much in Annapolis, but that's a lot of money for on the IURC board.
Yeah.
And,
They
and more than likely, they could have a side gig too. You could be an attorney and be a member of the board.
yeah, because it's just a commission. It's not a full-time job.
Right.
It gets paid a lot of money. What I show you there, the Christina Hale, which I thought would be good for Michigan City, had a good comment in here because they talked to some of these people, and it says, former state representative Christina Hale said when she was growing up, her family knew an elderly neighbor who had to choose between buying medicine and keeping her heat on. She said that highlights her thinking when if she sits on the aisle, and that's what I want to see.
That's what I also want to see.
So these people, they might not see much, the 5 members of the IURC, but believe me, what NIPSCO had a couple rate increases the last 2 years,
Yeah.
and they're asking for more,
Well, the gas has been the big one.
and it's going up. And the IURC tells them yes or no, and it tells them how much yes or no. So we need good people on there.
I have one little thing left. In your Michigan City Laporte Visitor's Guide, there's still a lot going on with the orchards and farms around Michigan City. So if you haven't got a copy of it, get a copy of it. But take advantage of the ones that are open, and many of them will be open until Thanksgiving at least. Go out and get some cider, some apples, and some other produce that you're going to enjoy, maybe even for Thanksgiving dinner. And there's nothing like an apple pie made out of apples that came out of LaPorte County orchards. Take advantage of it. And there are 2 here that do wreaths, Christmas trees, things like this. So as a result of that, take a look at it if you're going to have a natural tree.
We're getting down to the last 2 minutes. Now, Tony has a map of a roundabout. Where would this roundabout be relocated? Here in the city of Michigan City?
No, this is Johnson Road 35. Get ready, folks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, before I close, I want to, something happened last night at the dinner table. My grandson, who's a 6th grader at Knapp School, had his iPhone, and he punched in on his iPhone 99 News and Views. He did, and it made me feel so good that a 6th grader could accomplish that feat. Again, thank you, Joy. You made me feel good. I want to thank everybody for watching. Your input as to improvements or criticism of this program is greatly appreciated. Please contact Show's Try co-producers Bob Pollock, Dave Bila, or Tony Hendricks with your comments. You can email Bob at skrpollock@gmail.com or Dave at djbila1@hotmail.com or Tony at emailagm@yahoo.com. Or you may direct your ideas for any future shows to our one and only staff writer. Pain in the Neck staff writer is Sarah Bellum. The showing of our program will be Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Hopefully our new viewers will be watching. Also Monday and Thursday evening at 7 p.m. and numerous times throughout the week on Channel 99. You may also enjoy watching us on our YouTube channel, 99 Navigate News and Views. I want to thank everybody for watching. Our audience, our viewing audience is, in my mind, increasing. I want to thank everybody for watching, and make it a good day.
And after watching News and Views, you can turn your channel. IU will be starting to play UCLA at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, our time.
I'll be there. Right.